What is going on, everybody? It is Uncle Nick here, and it is another top 3 video, and this time it is the bench press. So if I'm being honest, bench press is probably the least favorite of all the lifts that I do. It's just not a super functional strength unless you're putting a transmission up in a car or there's a boulder on your chest, and odds are if there's a boulder on your chest, you're not bench pressing it, you're probably pancaked. But it's just not one of my favorite lifts. I don't really have any other reasons why or any personal vendetta against the bench press. It's just I find other stuff way more interesting. But I still do it because I really do believe it does help with my overhead strength, especially in the lockout portion. Strong triceps are strong triceps, whether you're benching or overhead pressing, and I take it as another opportunity just to get better at pressing overall. Number 1, which is the banded bench press. This, hands down, has been the most beneficial thing in my bench press progression out of everything I've done. Why? Because you get the lack of stability from the bands, you get an increased tension at the lockout. The way we set up the bands here, there's even tension towards the bottom. Now, it all depends on how you set up the bands, but the main thing you want to focus on is setting up the bands the same every single time. Whether you have to hook them on dumbbells like I showed you on the top 3 squat, or you have pins, or whatever you have to anchor them to. Now, a good alternative for the bands is chains. We do not have big enough chains here. The only chains we have are for like weighted pull-ups and dips that go around your waist, but that is a good alternative. It's the same concept. As you get higher in the rep, you get more and more chain links off the ground, so it gets heavier. Same thing with bands. You push against the bands, the further you stretch them out, the more tension you get. It's the same concept, and if you don't have the bands or the ability to do a banded setup, you can do chains. That is a perfectly acceptable concept, and I strongly recommend that as well. The bands, absolutely 100% are the most impactful thing that I've ever done for my bench, especially if you add a little pause at the bottom. That was my weakest point on the bench, was out of my chest. I had injured my shoulder when I was in the military a long time ago, and I couldn't bench past a 90 degree. So I was only getting maybe 3 inches from my chest. So for about a year, that gap between mid-rep and down to my chest wasn't getting work because I couldn't do it. So once I got back into training that bench press to 4 range of motion, I basically had to start over. So the bands, definitely with a pause added in at the bottom like you would say in powerlifting. That little pause, that definitely helped me with that brute strength. I love pause anything because it's stopping and starting again, and that is just raw power in its purest form. When you can take a weight, pick it up, stop, hold it, and start again. That is why bands are my number uno. Number 2 is a little bit odd. It is not something you see normally, but it is a floor press, but it is a dumbbell floor press. I love the dumbbell floor press because, one, with a barbell, it's more stable, but I like the challenge of the lack of stability that the dumbbell floor press has to offer, and you have to control it, because if you go down too fast, you smack the shit out of your elbows, sometimes catch that little funny bone, sends that zing up your arm, then your hand does something funny like this. Spirit fingers. I love the dumbbell floor press, especially it hits your triceps because it's that top portion of the press, so you get a little bit of your chest, more tricep activation throughout, and that is crucial for us strongmen. You need strong triceps. Most of the stuff outside of the full bench press itself, a lot of this stuff is going to be very tricep intensive because your lockout relies on your triceps, whether it's a bench or a overhead press. It's that simple. Get some dumbbells, go lay down on the floor. It's kind of tricky because getting them up, if you don't have anybody to hand them to you, there's a little way that I like to do it. Basically, I sit down and I roll back with them on my knees, and in one motion, I bounce them off my knees straight into the bench position. And then you basically control your descent, pause at the bottom, press. Control your descent, 1/1000, press. It's just kind of a rhythm. Give that a shot. It's one of my favorite things to do for assistance for the bench press. Number 3 are dips. I prefer to do the weighted dip because that is more of a challenge. Now, you can get creative with these dips. You can do drop sets. You can start with a 45, then a 25, then a 10, then a 5, work your way down the body weight, hitting as many reps as possible at each weight. That is a good thing to do to smoke your chest and triceps. Now, what I like about the dips is you can kind of adjust fire and make it hit more chest or more tricep depending on where you do your dips. And by that I mean you can lean more forward in the dip to get more chest activation, or you can stay more vertical to get more tricep activation. With that being said, I do not like a wide dip stance. I have to keep my hands close to my body because if I go too wide, I start to feel it in my shoulders. Not like a muscular fatigue feeling, it's more of a shoulder pain feeling in the joint. And you can do dips anywhere, guys. You can go find a pull-up bar, climb up on the pull-up bar, bang out some dips, neutral grip dips, which is what we do them here. If you're not strong enough to do a actual dip, you can do a dip on a bench. You put your feet up or you put your feet on the floor straight out in front of you and you bend at the elbow and bang out those dips there. It's very simple and you can do it just about anywhere you want. You can do it in your house. Do it on the couch, wherever you guys want to do it. The choice is yours. But once you get strong enough or you feel ready, start adding weight, just like with the pull-ups. Add weight to the dips, increase the difficulty, because there will come a point in time, hopefully for you guys, where 10 to 15 dips is going to be easy. So once 10 dips is easy, throw on 5 pounds. Work your way up to 10 dips there. Throw on 5 more pounds. Work your way up to 10 dips there. Gradually progress. Before you know it, you'll be doing 20 bodyweight dips, no problem. 30 bodyweight dips, no problem. Everything we do is about adding weight, getting stronger, and progressing. This is no different. Also, there's a new addition to the implement family here, and that is the Swiss bar or football bar or multi-grip bar, whatever you want to call it. But ours is like a 45-degree angle per se, kind of, and has multiple grips, wide all the way to this close, narrow stance. And I love it because benching, normally, I still feel it in my shoulder. Now, it's remnants from an injury, but I like to protect it when I can. So that neutral grip relieves a little bit of that strict bar path that you would actually need to be double overhand like you would on a normal bench, and allows you to go at a little bit of an angle. And me personally, it is just more comfortable. I've been using that more and more for my main movements in the giant sets with the bench press, because there's no bench press in strongman. And most logs and other implements outside of an axle and an overhead press, it's kind of a neutral grip anyway. So I'm gonna take advantage of that. I'm gonna use it. My shoulders are a lot happier with me afterwards when I use that Swiss bar. So if you guys are considering getting one of those, I highly recommend it. I love the thing. Most of the time when other people use it, I'm ready to fight for it because that is like my go-to for bench press right now, and it's hands down my favorite implement for a bench press. Now for you powerlifters, I would recommend sticking with a barbell because that's what you're going to use. You can never be too familiar with that barbell because that's your life revolves around the bar. But that is about all I got for you guys this week. Until next time, the next video to come out will be the Q&A, so look for that early next week. I will take those questions out of the comment section, get those into one platform for all the guys here that you asked. Whether they were direct questions to a specific person or just a general question to us all, I will make sure I will have all those, and hopefully I can get to all of them in a reasonable amount of time for you guys. But look for that video early next week, and until next time, guys, you know what the deal is. Get out there, get after it, and embrace the suck.